Hey friends, welcome to today's video. My name is Stephanie and today we're looking at Mooncat's new Mermaid Tales collection. So this collection features 6 new shiny and shimmering shades in a few different kinds of flaky finishes. Of course, I will save my thoughts for the end after comparisons. For now, let's get into the swatches. The first shade is Hermit Crab, which is a coral jelly packed with gold flakes and shimmer. So I feel like this one leans a little bit more orange on camera, but there is a beautiful, warm leaning coral element to this shade that I think makes it so perfect for summer. I actually really love this one. The formula was also such a dream. It applied really evenly and had really nice coverage on the first coat alone, so I feel like you could get away with 1 coat if you really wanted to, but I ended up just doing 2. I feel like it was opaque enough for me that it didn't warrant a 3rd coat just because of the amount of flakies and shimmers. It covers it up pretty nicely, but yeah, I absolutely adore this one and it's definitely one of my favorites from this collection. Next up we have Merkitten, and this one is a sheer hot pink jelly that's filled with blue shimmer and a delicate holographic sparkle. So obviously I am also absolutely in love with this shade. I love hot pink nails, especially for the summertime, and having this slightly jelly kind of formula with the shimmer and the holo, it is just so beautiful. So here on the first coat, it did give me a pretty nice coverage. I feel like it pools maybe a tiny bit here and there. So I wouldn't personally wear this on just 1 coat, but on 2 coats, it does even up really nicely, but you still see through to my nail line. So it has a little bit of that squishy jelly effect still. So I am showing this one in 3 coats just to show you how much it builds up. I wouldn't say that this gets 100% opaque after 3 coats, but it does cover up the nail line a really good amount. Maybe in direct sunlight you might be able to see it more, but I think it looks really great here, and I'm just a fan of this shade. It is so beautiful. The next shade is Bermuda Triangle, and this one is a purple jelly that's filled with green iridescent flakes, a beautiful blue shimmer, and more of that micro holographic sparkle. So this one kind of surprised me with how sheer it was, but I guess, you know, it is a jelly, so it definitely is going to be very sheer, but I actually really liked the look of this on 1 coat. I feel like it just gives such a beautiful wash of color. The base was really even, and you get such a great amount of flakies distributed among the shimmer, but obviously I am going to be building this up. So here it is in 2 coats, and it does cover up the nail line a decent amount more than Merkitten, for example. So I think this is another one that you could wear in just 2 coats, but I decided to do a 3rd just to see how much more that builds up, and I would say that this is like 98% opaque, where it was certainly opaque enough for me, and obviously with jelly formulas, the whole point is that they are going to be squishy and you still see through to your nail line a little bit. But yeah, I absolutely love this one. It just reminds me of a beautiful mermaid tail. Up next we have Plankton, and this one is described as a green lacquer that's filled with green shimmer and a delicate holographic sparkle as well. So this is most similar to Merkitten, where these are just shimmers. They don't have any flakies in them, but they still are very eye-catching with their shimmers. They really just have this glowy look to them, and I think they're really fun. Obviously, I am a little bit more partial to Merkitten being the pink, and I'm not the biggest fan of every green polish, so personally, I'm still figuring out how I feel about this shade. I might not wear it as a full manicure, but I think it would be so pretty in accents or for nail art, and it builds up really nicely in 2 coats, so this is a pretty good shade. Next we have Moonjelly, and this one is a sheer white jelly that's packed with iridescent flakies that shift from blue to green to purple and pink in more extreme angles. And it's obviously also packed with a really intense blue shimmer and that same delicate holographic sparkle as well. So this one definitely is a very, very sheer shade. I think it is even enough that you could wear it in one coat or layer it over another shade, whether it's a darker shade for some more contrast or a lighter shade if you don't want to see your nail line. But I'm going to be building this up in 3 coats, and even after 3 coats, you still see your nail line a decent amount. So again, this one is not going to be nearly as opaque as some of the other shades that we saw built up in 3 coats, but that's intentional for this one. And I'm not mad at it. I love these milky polishes with that really strong blue shimmer, and the addition of the flakies in this one just really gives me opalescent vibes. And I don't know if you know, but I'm a Libra and that's my birthstone, so I absolutely love this shade. And lastly, we have Catfished, an ocean blue lacquer jam-packed with ultra-fine flakies and a micro holographic glitter. So this one is not exactly a 2.0 version, but kind of a reimagining maybe of that one limited edition shade Crystal Lake that Mooncat came out with, and a lot of people were super crazy over it. Obviously it's sold out right away and people have been begging for it to come back. So they're not going to bring it back exactly, but I appreciate that they brought this back in a slightly reformulated way with this new ultra-fine flaky formula, which is what we saw in the last collection with Molten Lava and Tectonic Shift. I just think they are so pretty, especially with this shade. Once it's built up in 3 coats and you cover up any little bald spots that you might have, it just gives such a beautiful ethereal glow to your nails that makes it look like crushed shells or scales, whether it's from fish or mermaids, whatever. It just has such a beautiful, reflective kind of sheen, and I think it is so enchanting. So moving on to comparisons, we're obviously going to be looking at Hermit Crab next to Molten Lava from the Pretty Prehistoric collection, which was the collection right before this one. At first, I was a little bit like side-eyeing because I'm like, these are so similar for back-to-back releases, but they have wildly different formulas, even though the colors are very similar, being the orange base with the gold flakies. Molten Lava is that new ultra-fine flaky formula, so it's just more densely packed with flakes. So since Hermit Crab is more of a flaky jelly formula, I wanted to show this to a few other flaky jellies from Mooncat's line, starting with Magic Mushroom from the Kaleidoscope Haze collection. This one is very much like a bright citrusy tangerine sort of orange, so you can see how coral Hermit Crab is. And here it is next to Strangeberry, which is more of that hot pink jelly leaning base. So these might be a little bit more similar as far as the flakies in them go because they are gold, but Hermit Crab still has larger flakies as well as that gold shimmer and obviously a more orange leaning base. Next up for Merkitten, I have a quick bottle comparison with Olive Ave's Lisa, which is another hot pink polish with a blue shimmer, but this pink leans a little bit more like a reddish pink, while Merkitten is more of a blue toned pink, and that one is also a jelly. Lisa is a little bit more opaque. So for closer comparisons, I have Cirque's Pele from their recent Surfer's Crush collection. This one is a bright red leaning hot pink jelly with a blue shimmer that also shifts to aqua, so not quite as close, but even closer, I have Cirque's Say Chic from the Discotheque collection. This one is pretty spot on, not exactly a 100% dupe, but definitely close enough, I would say. They have very similar shades of the pink jelly base, the blue shimmer looks identical, and they have that same holographic sparkle. So the difference really comes down to the formula. So I'm going to be showing them all on 1, 2, and 3 coats. So I know they all look really sheer here on the first coat, but overall I would say that Say Chic is more of a true jelly kind of formula because Merkitten just builds up to be opaque a little bit easier or faster maybe. It's kind of like Merkitten is between a jelly and a crelly, if that makes sense. But yeah, overall, they still are very similar, especially here on 2 coats. When I did a 3rd coat, I feel like the base color of Say Chic in certain angles like this one looks really different, but then head on, they kind of look the same. So maybe I would say they're dupes as far as colors go, but formula-wise, Merkitten is a little bit more opaque. Next up for Bermuda Triangle, I had to show this next to Raaawr from the Pretty Prehistoric collection. This was another one that I kind of immediately was like, why are they so similar for back-to-back releases? But as you can see, Bermuda Triangle has that blue shimmer in there, so that's the main thing that separates them. They might look similar here in the bottle for sure, but on the nail they look pretty different in my opinion. So I also wanted to show this next to Cirque's Ohana from the recent Surfer's Crush collection. This is another light purple base with that blue shimmer and holographic sparkle. But I would say the shimmer is a little bit more blue leaning in Ohana and a slightly more teal shade in Bermuda Triangle, and there's also no flakies in Ohana. So yeah, here on the nail you can see all 3 of them look very different from each other. I would say Bermuda Triangle is kind of like a good mix of Raaawr and Ohana between the shimmer and the flakies. So yeah, I'd love to know which one you love most. Next up for Moonjelly, I had to see this next to Ghost of Hecate because it was just what I immediately thought of with that white jelly base and the strong blue shimmer. So obviously the main difference is that Ghost of Hecate does not have any flakies in it. It's just the shimmer and the delicate holographic sparkle. But I would also say that Ghost of Hecate is a little bit more sheer and not as crelly as Moonjelly is. So I also wanted to show this next to Curiosity's Prey, which is another white jelly base that is absolutely packed with these iridescent flakies. So while some of the flakies definitely shift to that blue color, they're not the exact same flakies as in Moonjelly, and Curiosity's Prey also does not have that strong blue shimmer. So yeah, I think Moonjelly is kind of like an interesting combination, sort of Ghost of Hecate with the blue shimmer primarily, and Curiosity's Prey with some of the flakies. But overall, the shimmer in Ghost of Hecate seems a lot more dispersed evenly, and Moonjelly, you see the shimmer only under a direct light source. So I think you can justify having all of these. And lastly, for Catfished, I had to show this next to Mermaid Bait since I unfortunately don't have Crystal Lake to compare it to, but this is another really beautiful blue shifty kind of polish. This one is more of a shimmer compared to the ultra fine flaky formula in Catfish though, so definitely different finishes. And I also wanted to show this next to Holo Taco's Never Tied Down from their recent vacation collection. I feel like in the bottle, they definitely look very similar with that really beautiful aqua blue kind of color and the little flakies, but formula-wise is where they really stand out a lot. Here on the first coat, you can see just how opaque Holo Taco is even on the first coat. So it's not quite as sheer or squishy as Mermaid Bait or Catfished are. But yeah, I would say Mermaid Bait head on at least has a much different shimmer because it is pink, but then Catfished and Never Tied Down are a little bit more similar where it's like that blue aqua leaning teal kind of shimmer, but still very different formula wise. So I absolutely love these. I love Never Tied Down, and Catfish is honestly getting up there for me. So that wraps up my swatches and comparisons for Mooncat's new Mermaid Tales collection. As always, I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this release because, as you can probably guess, I am a big fan of these. The biggest thing I think is the combination of the new brush and smoother formula because those just make a world of difference. I'm also a huge fan of the finishes. I love the theme, like the whole mermaid underwater. It's perfect for summer. And I just think they are so fun and colorful and bright. I just love shimmers. I love jellies and flakies. So this collection is like such a perfect summertime collection. But I would love to know what you think down below in the comments so we can chat about it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.